Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. Just going to be playing a little World of Tanks and recharging my batteries. I've been reading Immanuel Kant. I've been doing the Kant videos, and then I've been listening to Kant, and so I'm going to recharge for a little bit. So join me for some recharging. I'm going to listen to a little music about Immanuel Kant while I recharge and take a break from Kant. Oops, let's see, what's wrong? There we go.
Let us first divide cognition into
rational analysis and sensory perception, which Descartes considered valueless.
How reason gives us concepts that are true but
Tautological.
Sensation gives us images.
Its content is phenomenal.
Whatever greets our senses must exist in space and time, or else it would be nowhere, and nowhere therefore slang. Space and time we presuppose before we sense reality must have innate subjective
Transcendental ideality. For space and time
are forms of our perception, whereby sensations synthesized in orderly array. The same must hold for rational conception. In everything we think, the laws of logic must hold sway.
But a problem here arises with respect to natural science. Well, empirical
method, and your thought it lays reliance.
Although for Newton's findings we to Newton give the glory, Newton never could have found them if they weren't known a priori.
We know that nature governed it,
But how we come to know this is inherently inscrutable.
that what requires logic is a standpoint unassailable, but for objects of our senses, explanations aren't available. So let's attempt to visit cognition by critical analysis and hope that we may find the link between pure thought and intuition. The deduction transcendental will shed light upon the mind.
And this song's only halfway done at this point. This is a wonderful song. It's just called Immanuel Kant song.
You may recall that space and time are forms of apprehension, and therefore what we sense as spatio-temporal extension never is extended. It's composed of a plurality, but through the act of synthesis, we form a commonality. If we are to be conscious of a single concrete entity, each part of its extension must be given independently, combining in a transcendental, a perceptive unity, to which I may ascribe the term self-conscience with impunity. The order of our various sensations arises from connections not beyond in sense alone. Self creates the rules of their relations, and of this combination it is conscious as its own. While these rules correspond to scientific causal laws, the question of their constancy remains to give us pause. But once we recollect,
Alright, I'm going. Let's see.
subconscious mind, and this perverse dilemma of
Good job, guys. Good job.
the self is nothing
They're gonna come down that center road.
synthesis sublime. This
Act must be the same to be self-conscious over time.
the rules for combination of itself will form the ground. So what we perceive tomorrow by today's
Loss must be
found. These constant laws whereby we shape experience simply those which regulate our reason that is plain. So don't ask why the stars display in their ends. The cosmos is produced by your
disoriented brain. Don't ask why the universe is normal. That's not a reasonable question. Your brain produced the whole thing. So don't try to figure it out. That's Immanuel Kant. You can't know anything about reality, so don't try. What is this? Where is this guy at here? Yeah, I got you, biznitch. Now what are they doing over there? What can we do to help them? Probably nothing. We're in a very dangerous spot out here. Alright, I am simply going to replay that song until I get sick of it because it's so cute. Somebody once labeled it with my name, like Mr. Cropper's song or something like that. Let us first divide cognition into rational analysis and sensory perception, which Descartes considered valueless.
Now reason gives us concepts which are true but
Tautological.
Sensation gives us images
Whose content is phenomenal
whatever greets our senses must exist
in space and time, or else it would be nowhere and no women, therefore slime. Oh,
Space and time
I'm pretty dead here.
before we sense reality must have an
Divides and gentle ideality.
The space and time
Are forms of our perception,
whereby
sensations synthesized in orderly array. The same must hold for rational conception. In everything we think, the laws of logic must hold sway.
But a
Problem here arises with respect to natural science, while empirical natures.
of your thought it lays reliance.
Although Newton's findings we to Newton give the glory, Newton never could have known them if they weren't known a priori.
We know that nature governed is by principles immutable. But how we come to know this is inherently inscrutable. That what requires logic is a standpoint unassailable. But for objects of our senses, explanations aren't available. So let's attempt to vivisect cognition by critical analysis and hope that we may find the link between pure thought and intuition, a deduction transcendental will shed light upon the mind.
Alright, this is a defensive flag rally. We just have to keep our base. Is this? I wonder if that makes a difference right there, what I just did.
Space and time are forms of apprehension, and therefore what we sense as spatio-temporal extension. Whatever is extended is composed of a plurality. The through act of synthesis, we form a commonality. If we are to be conscious of a single concrete entity, each part of its extension must be given independently, combining in a transcendental, a perceptive unity, to which I may ascribe the term self-conscience with impunity. The order of our various sensations arises from connections not beyond in sense alone. Self-create the rules of their relations, and of this combination it is conscious as its own. While these rules correspond to scientific causal laws, the question of their constancy remains to give us pause. But once we recollect the source of our self-conscious mind, to this perverse dilemma a solution we may find. The self is nothing but its act of synthesis sublime. This act must be the same to be self-conscious over time. The rules for a combination of itself will form the ground. So what we perceive tomorrow by today's laws must be bound. These constant laws whereby we shape experience are simply those which regulate our reason, that is plain. So don't ask why the stars display invariant.
The cosmos is created by your disoriented brain. And from the top. Okay, now what are they doing? Come on. Oh my god, my whole team's been wiped out. I'm the only one left. Like me and my buddies over here. It.
Let us first divide cognition into
Rational analysis and sensory perception, which Descartes considered valueless.
Now reason gives us concepts which are true but tautological. Sensation gives us images whose content is phenomenal. Whatever greets our senses must exist in space and time, or else it would be nowhere, and no when would therefore slime. Space and time we presuppose before we sense reality, which have innate subjective transcendental ideality. As space and time are forms of our perception, whereby sensations synthesized in orderly array. The same must hold for rational conception. In everything we think, the laws of logic must hold sway.
We're dead. They've got us surrounded. We're just dead.
Fear arises with respect to natural
Oh, I is gonna come down and kill me.
method, under thought it lays reliant, although for Newton's findings, we to Newton give the glory, we never could have found them if they were known a priori.
I'm so surrounded. I'm the last guy alive.
But how we come to know this is apparently
He's a coward. You're in a tank just like me, you coward. Oh, it's gonna kill me.
Objects of our senses.
Why did I live longer?
Explanations aren't available.
Nice tough
So
chair.
let's attempt to vivisect cognition by critical analysis.
You hope that we may find the link between pure thought and intuition, deduction transcendental, which shed light upon the mind.
You may recall that space and time are forms of apprehension, and therefore what we sense as spatio-temporal extension never is extended.
Oh, when I get charged up, I'm gonna go do the second introduction to, no, the second preface. No, the preface to the second edition. So there was a preface to the first edition in 1781 of the Critique of Pure Reason, and then in 1787 another preface, which looks to be twice as long. Then we'll get to the introduction. The introduction. Now, if we haven't formed an opinion of him by the time we're finished with the preface, then we can't think for ourselves.
While these rules correspond to scientific causal laws, the question of their constancy remains to give us pause. But once we recollect the source of our self-conscious mind, to this perverse dilemma a solution we may find. The self is nothing but its act of synthesis sublime. This act must be the same to be self-conscious over time. New rules for a combination of itself would form the ground. So what we perceive tomorrow by today's laws must be bound. These constant laws, whereby we shape experience, are simply those which regulate the reason that is plain.
Heavy's going to the beach, so we gotta go fast, alright?
The stars display variance.
Shit, that guy's gonna destroy me. I can't even pin him. I couldn't even. I just took 2 shots right at him and didn't pin. Alright. Well, let's. He's gonna hurt me if he hits me. His gun didn't incline downwards, so he couldn't. Oh, I got him. Okay, good. Good. Now he can fight that heavy. This is alright. Oh, look, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. Oh, you little twerp. Oh, you little twerp. Okay. Alright, this is bad because we're not supposed to be over here. I mean, a scout over here to just to see what's happening is fine, but we don't need this many guys over here. What are we gonna do with all this? And that heavy's getting fucking chewed up. Now I'm dead. We're not supposed to be over here. That heavy's not supposed to be over here. This manual Kant song is brilliant. It's brilliant. Let us first divide cognition.
Let us first divide cognition
into rational analysis,
and sensory perception,
which Descartes considered valueless.
Now reason gives us concepts which are true but tautological. Sensation gives us images
Whose content is phenomenal. Whatever greets our senses
must exist in space and time, or else it would be nowhere, and no when would therefore slime.
Okay, I'm tier 6. There are tier 7s and tier 8s on this map. So that's like level. I'm level 6. There are level 7 and level 8 tanks on this map. So it's their map. I'm just cannon fodder. Those are tanks. Some of those tanks I cannot penetrate no matter what. So it's their map. It's just my job to do what I can to help the team kill off the easy ones, if I can kill off any easy ones. But the heavy ones are for the heavies, and it's a heavies map. Alright, this guy's gonna... Now, this is a new map, and nobody really knows what the F they're doing on it. But one of the worst things to do is to go up the middle, like I'm doing. However, I don't care really because I'm lowest tier, so it doesn't really matter too much what I do. It's the heavy maps. It's heavy's map. So I'm gonna chill in here. I'm just gonna make sure nobody comes running up this middle. And we're just gonna see if we can help our team, which is more than a lot of people do. And I'm probably not in the right place. I don't know. This is a brand new map. If you play a map 1,000 times, you know that there's a place for it. First enemy contact.
You may recall that space and time are forms of apprehension, and therefore what we sense as spatio-temporal extension. Whatever is extended.
I'm probably supposed to be over there, huh? E0. Probably. Well, let's try to do something good here.
Each part of its extension must be given independently, finding in a transcendental, a perceptive unity, which I may ascribe the term self-conscience with impunity.
Well, if I'm supposed to be over there in town, no, I'm low tier, it doesn't matter really. It doesn't possibly matter that much.
Rises from connections not beyond sense alone. Self creates the rules of their relations, and of this combination it is conscious as its own.
Okay.
While these rules correspond to scientific causal laws, the question of their constancy remains to give us pause. But once we recollect the source of our self-conscious mind, to this perverse dilemma a solution we may find. The
Ouch.
self is nothing but its act, the synthesis sublime. This act must be the same.
Who's shooting at me? I can't see them.
Over time. The rules for combination.
Yeah, the middle of the
itself will form
the very middle of the map's a bad place for a big slow tank.
Tomorrow, by today's laws must
That's alright. Hopefully they did some good.
Constant laws whereby we shape experience, simply those which regulate our reason, that is plain.
So don't ask why the stars display invariance. The cosmos is created by your disoriented brain. Don't ask why the universe makes sense. That's just your delusion. Let us first divide cognition into rational analysis and sensory perception, which Descartes considered valueless.
Now reason gives us concepts which are true but tautological. Sensation gives us images
Whose content is phenomenal.
Whatever greets our senses must exist in space and time.
Or else it would be nowhere and no end, and therefore slime.
Space and time we presuppose before we sense reality must have an subjective transcendental reality. That space and time are forms of our perception, whereby sensations synthesized in orderly array. The same must hold for rational conception. In everything we think, the laws of logic must hold sway.
But a problem here arises with respect to natural science, while empirical in nature on, while empirical in method on pure thought, it lays reliance. So he says natural science partakes both of empirical methods and pure thought. Now, what does he mean by pure thought? Oh, that's just Immanuel Kant doing his thing, isn't it? No, I'm not supposed to be up this far. This is actually brave. Stupid or brave? Now I have to face this guy on my own. Okay, that's going to be dangerous. Nobody wants to face him. All right, back to the song. Just wanted to pause on that thought, see what's going on.
Under thought it lays reliance, although for Newton's findings, we to Newton give the glory.
Newton never could have found them if they weren't known a priori.
We know that nature governed is by
I got 17 seconds to reload. 15.
To know this is
Inherently inscrutable. 10.
that what requires logic
7.
is a standpoint unassailable.
4.
But for objects of our senses, explanations aren't available. So let's attempt
To vivisect cognition.
the critical analysis and hope that we may find the link between pure thought and intuition, the deduction transcendental will shed light upon the mind.
Got him? Okay. All right, well, the middle is collapsing. We've got a lot of people camping at the back over there. What are they doing? Why, Why do we got VK3601 at the back of the map? Yeah.
If we are to be conscious of a single concrete entity, each part of its extension must be given independently, combining in a transcendental, a perceptive unity, to which I may ascribe the term self-conscience with impunity. The order of our various sensations arises from connections not beyond in sense alone. Self creates the rules of their relations, and of this combination it is conscious as its own. While these rules correspond to scientific causal laws, the question of constancy remains to give us pause. But once we recollect the source of our
Fresh clip in.
to this perverse dilemma of solution.
Come on down, boys. Let's do this.
The self is nothing but its act.
Oh, go for it. Go for it, E. Okay. There we go. Go around castle the other way, you noobs. Stats are for noobs.
So what we perceive tomorrow
By today's laws must be found.
constant laws whereby we shape experience are simply those which regulate our reason, that is plain. So don't ask why the
stars display invariance.
The cosmos is produced
By your disoriented brain. Who wrote this song? It's so perfect. Somebody attributed it to me years ago. Mr. Cropper's Philosopher Song. Ooh, we got a meanie right there. I'm not even reloaded yet. Christ on his throne. Damn. Who got me? Panzer IV? Where from? No kidding. Alright. It's alright. We're going to win this one. We got it tied up in spite of the campers on the back row over there. Noobs. I do listen to this song, or this group called the Be Good Tanyas. I don't know why. Just my thing. Let's get her on the computer.
Bon and Viv Spike Seltzer has syrup.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't care if the sun don't shine. I don't care if nothing is fine. I don't care if I'm just with you. I'll do love in the winter time.
See, isn't this pretty music?
the sun. I'll always join your color. I'll always trace your footsteps. It's a hard world. It's a hard world. I could never say what I mean. You're not in the wrong places. There's nothing wrong with you.
Hurt me. Come on, do it. You son of a bitch, I got you. Come on, hurt me, bitch. They're gonna get me, I'm dead. Heavily outnumbered. There we go. Come on, bitch. Now he knows what I want. There we go. Get him. Thank you. Oh, he trying to shoot through the rock. Oh, he don't know about that.
I'm taking what you give to me. I'm taking
Down to 19 points, so I don't have any. I'm dead. I don't think I can get up this stupid hill right here. Uh-oh. Can I get him? Yeah, I got him, you stupid little bitch. Oh, you slimy bitch. I knew it was gonna happen. I only lasted so long because they're such cowards. That was a mess. My team's getting killed now.
I'm always on your color. I'm always chasing your footsteps. It's a hard world. It's a cold world. I could never say your name. I've been looking at all the wrong places. There's nothing wrong with you. Broken telephone.
This song is so strange. It's literally broken telephone. Broken telephone. The lines are down.
I feel myself as nothing. I feel myself as nothing. I'm taking back what you gave to me. I'm taking back what you gave to me.
Oh, what's happening?
Ourselves very, very intently.
I was trying to
Once we
switch my.
developed language, we were able to start encapsulating that procedural ethic first in stories. And those stories were partly about what a very well-structured procedural ethic might be and how it might go wrong, but also about how an individual within that procedural ethic should be treated and should act. And the storytelling, which was the mapping of that procedure.
This is podcast 67, Sam Harris.
The image and story basis of religious ideation, as far as I could tell. So that's the basic thesis. It's like Piaget's notion that children, when they first come together to learn a game, if they're young enough, they can play the game when they're together. But if you take them out of the game and ask them individually about the rules, they give widely disparate accounts. So they've got the procedure in place, but they haven't got the episodic representation, technically speaking.
I would dispute that. I would say
more linguistically sophisticated that they can actually.
I would say if you ask a kid I mean, if you go look at the thing that the kids are doing, I'm not gonna pin that guy. Oh, that was a fucking dead tink. What am I doing? Think of philosophy while I try to tink. If you, oh, now I forgot what Sam was saying, or what Jordan was saying. Oh, about Piaget. Yeah, I don't think Piaget's right. I think Piaget's wrong about that. I think Piaget's wrong about pretty much everything he said, too. I think he's garbage, but about that in particular, I don't think that the kids are, like, able to play the game, but then when you ask them to explain it, they can't explain it. I don't think that's the case. I think they're not able to play the game if that's the case. Some of them could explain it. Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. That couldn't obtain. I would like to see video of that. That's all. I don't think Piaget's right.
With a coherent representation of the rules. And then it's only later when they start to construe themselves not merely as followers of the rules, but also as originators of the rules. And that's akin to the recognition of, I would say, constructive individuality in relationship to the state. So I see these things as very, very, very deeply biologically predicated.
Where's the concept of an archetype come into this picture?
Well, okay, imagine this, Sam. You tell me what you think about this. So, you know how if you have a, can I tell you just a 2-minute story?
Sure.
So, okay, so one time I was at the hockey rink with my son, and he was playing, he was young, he was about 12, and they were playing this championship game in this little league that they had. And my son was a pretty good hockey player, but there was a kid on the team who was better than him, who was kind of the star, but he was a diva, you know? And even though he would score goals and all of that, he wouldn't pass, and he wasn't facilitating the development of any of the other team members. And so anyways, we watched this game, and it was very close. It was a very exciting game. And in the final few minutes of the last period, the other team scored, and my son's team and this Stars team lost. And so then the kids went off the ice, and the diva kid smashed his hockey stick on the cement and started to complain bitterly about how unfair the game is. And then his idiot father came running up to him and told him how unfair the reffing had been, and how it was stolen from them, and how catastrophic all of that was. And I thought it was one of the most heinous displays of poor parenting that I'd ever seen. Now, so there's a moral of that story. So his kid was very good at playing hockey, but he wasn't very good at being a good player. And so, you know, you always tell your kids, doesn't matter whether you win or lose, it matters how you play the game. And of course, you don't know what that means, and neither does the kid. And it's often a mystery to the kid what that means, because obviously you're trying to win. But imagine it this way. Imagine that human beings, that the goal of human life isn't to win the game. The goal of human life, in some sense, is to win the set of all possible games. And in order to win the set of all possible games, you don't need to win any particular game. You have to play in a manner that ensures that you will be invited to play more and more games. And so when you tell your children to be good sports, to play properly, what you mean is play to win, but play to win in such a way that people on your team are happy to play with you, and people on the other teams are happy to play with you, and so that you keep getting invited to games. Now, if you think of each game as a small hierarchy of value or dominance, then obviously the appropriate thing is to move up the hierarchy. And that's what animals do, is they move up in their specific hierarchy. But because human beings are capable of abstraction, we've been able to conceptualize the hierarchy as such, rather than any specific one, and then also to characterize a mode of being that is most likely
That's interesting. He knows enough to recognize an instance of measurement omission, because we recognize the hierarchy as such rather than any particular hierarchy. So that's interesting that he recognizes measurement omission.
The hierarchy, no matter what that hierarchy is. And as far as I can tell, that's the archetype of the hero. The hero is the person who's most likely to move up any given dominance hierarchy at any time in any place. And the hero is also, and then so that the nature of that archetypal hero first was acted out. It was laid out in procedure, and then it was acted out, and then it was described. But it's also, it's multidimensional. It's not only he who plays to be invited to play again, but also he who goes out into the great unknown to face chaos and the dangers there, but to gather what's valuable as a consequence and to bring it back to the community. And that's the basis of the dragon myth archetype, which is, of course, plays out in art and literature throughout recorded history. The oldest story we have, which is the Enuma Elish from Mesopotamia, is a story about Marduk, who's the culture hero and also the highest god in the Mesopotamian pantheon. He confronts the dragon of chaos, cuts her into pieces, and makes the world. In fact, one of his names was Nam. I can't remember the name, unfortunately, but it meant he who creates ingenious things as a consequence of the combat with Tiamat, who's the dragon of chaos. So he cuts up the unknown into pieces and makes ingenious things out of them. And it's a perfect description of the human archetype, the fact that we are hyper-exploratory.
There's a tough tank that's so IS right here. That's a
tough the dangerous unknown, to gather the treasure that lies there and then to distribute it to the community.
It's a Russian game, so the tanks, the Russian tanks are buffed.
In terms of the evolution of that archetype, Sam, think about it this way, okay? And again, you can tell me what you think about this. So we know that, roughly speaking, that human females mate across and up dominance hierarchies, whereas chimpanzee females are non-selective maters. The dominant chimps, males, will chase away the subordinate chimps from the females in estrus, and so they're more likely to have offspring, but the females will mate with anyone, whereas human females are very selective and they have hidden ovulation and they mate across and up dominance hierarchy. So imagine the woman wants the man who's most capable of rising up the set of all dominance hierarchies. So what happens is she outsources that problem to the computational capacity of the male hierarchy. And she lets the men fight it out among themselves, compete and cooperate to determine who the best man is. He's provided with the majority of the mating opportunities. And so that's how the extended religious phenotype manifests itself in evolutionary space, which was something that you and Richard Dawkins were wondering about the last time that you talked. Like, it's not psychopathy, which was, in some sense, you were thinking about the charismatic liar, but really what's being selected for is the consciousness, because that's the right way of thinking about it, that's best able to rise across the set of all dominance hierarchies. And females are selecting very hard for that, which is at least in part why we've had this tremendously expanded cortical capacity.
Well, let me see if I can wade into this picture and find places of agreement and disagreement. For clarity's sake, I think it's useful to distinguish between two different intellectual projects here with respect to values and morality and the question of just how to live in this world, which is at least nominal starting point. First, there's the description of how we got here, right? And this captures all of evolutionary psychology and much of what you just began to say about selection pressures with respect to dominance hierarchies and the kind of heroic male mate that female apes will find attractive and all that. Then you can add religion to that as perhaps an extended phenotype or the possibility of group
two shots. I didn't
pressure, more religious tribes
those two shots.
Have a way of organizing themselves in a more durable way than less religious tribes, and therefore there's something in our evolutionary history that has selected for religiosity, say, an overarching story that unites non-kin in a way that is more energizing than some other story. I don't really have much of a dog in that fight. I think some of that is plausible, some of it isn't. I think group selection,
all right,
I haven't mentioned it, is
working in
the background of this way of talking about religion in evolutionary terms. And at the moment, I happen to be convinced.
All right, Thank you for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. This was my live broadcast.